Quorum and begin.
Recording has begun.
Okay, fantastic. Well, I'd like to thank you all for attending and apologies for the change in schedule here. We wanted to make sure we accommodated an important event tonight, and I appreciate everybody being able to come on here at the last minute. So thanks to all the committee members for agreeing to that change. Today is November 12th, 2025. The time is 5:10 p.m. and we have a quorum of the committee, which we'll call at this time. So I will start with Representative Best,
Aye.
Representative Dinkins. Oh, sorry, I didn't go alphabetical order. I thought I was. Representative Chamberlain, we'll start with you.
Present.
Representative Dinkins. Having trouble unmuting yourself, but we see her on. And then Representative Johnson Law.
Present.
Okay, we have the presence of a quorum at this time, so we'll call this meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is to review the agenda. So can everybody see it in the chat there? Okay, fantastic. I see we'll try to move with rapidity here just so we can get to this event tonight. The second item is priorities and funding. Dr. Fleischer, is this just a recap of the discussion that we had at the last meeting that we then reflected in the document that we circulated for everyone's review and edits? You're muted, Dr. Fleischer.
Yes, I wanted to just make sure that this is an important document, just making sure that everything is finalized on our end, and just use this space. I know we have about 20 minutes on this topic on the agenda. And so just any final thoughts. I know during the working session, there were some thoughts on edits or updates to it. I don't know if anybody went in and made those edits to it just yet, but this would be that space to make it before staff finalizes.
Okay, I
I'll
thought
put
the
in-
staff was going to make the edits, so I'm glad to go in and just provide some suggestions. So that's all in the SharePoint.
Yeah, I'll put in the if you all want to go in there now, I'll share my screen, but not the entire. I don't know why I didn't link in here, but if you, oh, I see. Bear with me here. I don't think, I think I need to send like the actual link, the SharePoint link. Okay. Bear with me. I'm also, what? Sorry.
No, it's no problem. I mean, I feel like what we can do is, since members, haven't had necessarily an opportunity to make these changes yet, if you can just send it to us, we can then, take a look, make any edits and adjustments that we need to the one pager, and then finalize it. But I don't know that we need to have a lengthy discussion for 20 minutes now, if unless anybody feels otherwise. I see it there. I think you texted it to us,
I
Declan.
texted it to everyone just now. Yeah, the final draft of the strategic priorities one pager to all members. You'll have
What's the deadline you
final
need?
chance.
What's the
for feedback.
deadline you need our edits for? Like tomorrow at noon, or what's the?
I would say, I mean, today was ideal, but perhaps if by tomorrow. But I texted everyone that draft, and I'm gonna send. Sorry, Representative Dinkins dropped off. I'm bringing her up now, but I mean, ideally, this evening. But
Okay.
let me just share my screen really quickly. But I just wanted to do a portion of it. The description mainly. Give me 1 second because I have to be okay. Maybe I can like
Yeah, I mean, my only concern with the working session was some of the language sounds like the same stuff we've heard a million times before, but there's never any action on. Yeah. So I think what we want to try to do is look at this, uh, through a different lens of not through punitive discipline, but just trying to balance, what makes sense in terms of accountability. Uh, and I think that was lost a bit.
yeah. Actually, let me stop sharing really quickly. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit and then
I think Nyla's stuck as an attendee.
okay.
Well, if we can, since we can't get Nyla on because it's probably an internet connection issue, rather than try to discuss this without her here, if we could have it maybe at least until 9 a.m. tomorrow to get you the edits to this. That way, it gives members an opportunity to read it through and review it. And I'm a morning person. I'm not an evening person. When you get to be 48, your rhythms change to be productive in the morning. So I'll uh I'll look this through one last time in the morning. But that's all in SharePoint. So does that work for everybody? 9 a.m. noon to get Dr. Fleischer the final look through?
That works for me.
Okay, great. All right, so you have to speak by then or forever hold your peace on this. The next item, is anything else on
Oh,
this item? Because I want to try to keep us moving so people can attend that event, including myself. What is the next item on our agenda?
the student safety and accountability
The
discussion.
chat moved. I brought the chat back to where it was. Okay, so student safety and accountability discussions. I had a great conversation with Representative Johnson Law last night. We talked about having this discussion at the working session, which we did. And what we want to do is open it up to the committee. If they have ideas for people who would be good on a panel. And this doesn't have to be necessarily a formal panel, but we're thinking maybe a series of roundtables or a series of discussions with a variety of perspectives. So we're not looking for uniform perspectives. We actually want people with kind of diverse ways of tackling the issue of bullying, safety, discipline. And hopefully if we put, different minds together, we'll come up with a sensible solution to this. And I think that's what the goal should always
Exactly.
be, is to try to bring in diverse perspectives. But I would turn to Representative Johnson Law. Did you want to add anything to that? Am I characterizing it correctly?
Oh no, Representative Galea, that's perfect. I was just hoping that, we could look at how are community schools dealing with discipline, and then how do we also like look at accountability and consequences, and what does that really look like? I was basically like playing devil's advocate on both sides to see like, okay, how what can we really do to like move the needle on this issue? Like there's so many things happening right now. Like I just got off a call with a school and they've made the news. So a child brought an edible to school and decided to share that edible with other students. And so I'm looking at Perry. And again, this isn't the first time we're hearing something like this. It's not new. I'm not going to name the school. They've had enough going on. But as we have these conversations about accountability, are we even teaching appropriately to hold somebody accountable? Devil's advocate, right? Like expectation setting. And what does that look like for children who are coming from very diverse backgrounds? And when I say backgrounds, I'm meaning like very diverse home situations. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then also teaching our children about like consequences are an inherent part of life. It is what that's one of those it is what it is type of situations. And how do we figure that out? And so I was hoping we could have a roundtable and Representative Goulet and I mutually agreed that we got to figure this out, talk it out, and really have uncomfortable conversations. And not coming from a place of like accusatory, but really coming from a place of like, I'm trying to understand so that way we can solve problems. I'm a problem solver. I'm sure everybody on this call is a problem solver. We don't want to continue problem after problem after problem. We want to solve problems. but really trying to get a grip on, okay, what is happening with this problem, and then again, what are the nuances of the problem, and then how do we resolve it? And having those diverse backgrounds of perspectives, I think will really be helpful as we look at both sides and try to figure out, okay, what can actually work. Does that work, Representative Goulet? And I'm gonna stop talking because I know we're all trying to get out of here.
No, I think it absolutely does represent Johnson Law, and the opportunity for a roundtable would be for us to invite, people in and sit at a table with them. We don't have to have a roundtable up on the dais per se. We could arrange us all around a table, and talk these issues through with the committee members, with other SBOE members if they would like to join, and then experts, in DC who have perspectives to share that would be helpful. So I think this is the right way to go. And we could have a series of these types of roundtable discussions where we look at certain topics. Like you mentioned, the issue of substance abuse, which is a big concern of mine, that I think, really you want to start trying to curb, behaviors that would get addicted to substances, whether it be vaping, whether it be marijuana, and you want to try to reach kids young on that. So, and I think Representative Colson has been a true champion on that issue of raising the alarm bells on that. So, yeah, I second everything you've said, but let's see if anybody else wants to weigh in. And then if people can send me names of any individuals that they think would be valuable in having this, one or more discussions, we'll make sure we reach out to them and see if they're interested.
And I have a few questions. When are you aiming for these, like this roundtable or maybe a series of roundtables? I know right now there's just a lot with council and there's going to be like a stretch of November and December that might be challenging. So is this more of like a winter 2026?
I think it would, Dr. Fleischer, I think to answer that question, it would depend on when people are available. Now, kind of what I'm viewing these as more is rather than a we could have something where we have a number of witnesses come in, but we have that at the public meetings already. Is this would almost just be a recorded discussion between people trying to talk through these difficult issues. We would do it with transparency under the Open Meetings Act because that's what we're required to do.
Yeah.
But I don't think this necessarily would
Representative
require us
Goulet,
to do it that way. Yeah,
Representative Goulet, can I make a proposal?
of course.
I propose that we start looking at this in January. Let's get through November, December. Let's get through the holidays. I know we have the breakfast meeting. I feel like there's a lot of things happening. The holidays are coming. And maybe what we start doing like first in the new year, like we could use our own meeting. Like if there's a committee meeting where it's like, okay, let's do February where they come in or something of that nature. But maybe we start looking at this for like January, February, maybe even March of 2026. Would that be feasible for the group?
I think that makes sense. I support that. I think I was probably trying to be overly optimistic to get one in before the holidays. So, well, let's shoot for January if we can.
And the primary topic would be, again, just to make sure I'm aligned on this.
I mean, I think it would be safety and supports. I mean, that's what we've been assigned, but I think we would want to look at all the different elements of safety and supports, which would include, as I think as Representative Johnson Law talked about, how do we establish, some sort of expectation setting for consequences again, because I think that's been lost a bit. And how do we provide youth with the emotional regulation skills to be able to handle situations that right now are simply problematic? And I think we talked about changing the definition of bullying too. That was one of our target issues to try to particularly capture the cyberbullying issues that have developed since that standard was set. So, I mean, I think all of that would be fair game, but I mean, I think the overall goal of this is just how do we make sure our students feel safe in schools without swinging the pendulum back too far the other direction.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of years back, and Darren was around, I think around that time. This was before my board years, when I was at the other place that I used to work at. We had like these citywide, we had a student-led citywide like forums where we brought our students together to kind of figure out like what are the things that are impacting them the most, what are the issues, like what are their recommendations, and I think we could also add some components about like with parents in there. It would require us to do some work though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it would require us to get on the road. But I think that I haven't seen uh, any engagement on that level since then. And I think that times have changed a lot since that time that I did this. And we had some members of the state board who were present. We had, during that time, and it was really, really beneficial. And I think, now that we are actually in, roles where we can have impact, or at least I can speak about myself. I think that we would be able to take some of these recommendations and make it go a lot further. And then we also have like we have students on our board now, and we have a SAC where we could get our SAC to help us like plan this thing out, and kind of help drive more students and adults, and community members to get involved. It's like the best engagement that we could possibly do, and I just think we're long overdue for something like this again. I think it was maybe 2019, I think it was, when this happened. So those are my thoughts. Basically, what we tried to do was we tried to have engagements in each one of the wards. We didn't quite get to all of them, but we tried to have engagements at each one of the wards where we brought together high school students, a couple middle school students, staff, and community members to come around to discuss certain issues, and everyone left with several things that they wanted us to address. And then we brought everybody together for a large convening where we figured out like what are the three things that we could work on together, or three solutions that we could try to share. That was sent to the DME. The DME put together some money and funds towards everything, and that's kind of how we started with the oh my gosh, why can't I think, safe passage work. So the safe passage work got funded after we did that initiative. And so just something to think about. I think it would be an undertaking, but I know we've been talking about well, what are some things that we could do, and I think that this is just something that we could do. Open to thoughts, feedback, or we can talk about it later.
I think that's excellent. And I would definitely be up for an 8-ward road show. I think Representative Johnson Law talked about that at the last meeting too, of getting out into the community and doing a series of community meetings. So I'm all in on that. I love getting to go out. I love getting to talk to people. So let's do it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I kind of have a roadmap to it, and I guess maybe in our next meeting we can kind of like go over it and figure out what the plan could be if we vote to do it.
Yeah.
But I definitely have some materials and pathway forward.
Representative Best, do you think you could share kind of the draft of the roadmap that you have with us so we could look at it and then come back and add it as an item to the next meeting? Because I think that would be a great starting point to based on the success of this the last time you did it.
Yeah, I can definitely do that. I have to just go back and get all that information from my various emails and stuff like that. But yeah, can do it.
Terrific, terrific. I see Dr. Fleischer, you have your hand raised. You don't
Yeah.
really need to raise your hand. You can always just chime in here.
No, I don't want to like talk over all you. But just thinking about that, that sounds great, having a roadmap. Perhaps before our next meeting, we
Yeah.
can look at that over. Also recalling from our October C committee meeting, there were discussions around jumping in on other agencies, like other events in the district, and seeing if we could join them to probably reduce like costs or anything like that. And also another question would be, would this replace the town hall discussion that we had before. Is this something separate? We do have, we're still working out the funding requests.
I would still love to see a youth town hall, because I think that, empowering youth voice should be an essential component of this. And I think if we could have a facilitated youth town hall, that would be extremely valuable. So I don't see
I
this as replacing
I
that at all.
I actually think that it is that on steroids, actually.
Okay.
And so I think I even still have videos and stuff like that I can share, so you can kind of get a better understanding of what I'm proposing. But it is in essence, like uh, a town hall, human-centered design style, where we're getting all the info and feedback and input from students, from adults. Like they're in different groups, and then we bring them together. But it is definitely taking that, and making it fun and energetic, and just taking it to the next level. So I will show it to you, and then maybe we can share what we think about, like whether we feel as though we still need that or if we don't. But I can definitely share that with the team before our next meeting.
Well, you piqued my curiosity, so I'm excited to see what it is, because that sounds exciting.
Yeah, I believe Dan Davis was there at the last one. Darren, were you there? I don't know if you were there or not. No, maybe not.
If I could be there, I would have been there. I mean, I've been
Yeah, okay.
to a few, yeah, I've been to like a few ward level events.
No, it would have been you would have
Yeah, I wasn't here
remembered
like
that
in
one.
2019, like,
Oh,
but
okay, okay. Yeah.
I've been to Dan's ward level safety discussions.
Yep.
Those, but maybe tying this in again, when all of you go back and look at the priorities document, tying those into the strategic initiatives and just seeing if that language is right, because a lot of what you're saying can be tied in, like updating the bullying definition. There's a way to tie that in, and then maybe following these that could lead towards like an updated definition, and also like working with student safety, like recommendations around that. I'm just thinking out loud, or just
Can I ask a procedural question to you, Dr. Fleischer? The
Mhm.
Open Meetings Act, are we required, because I think a big expense could be the recording costs if we do 8 meetings. Are we required to, I thought it was under open meetings, we needed to post notice of the meeting and it needed to be open to the public. I don't know that we need to record all of these meetings as long as they are open. Is that correct?
I'll check on that. I'm right
Because
now
trying to
going
move,
both
like
ways
if we're
on
going,
this.
yeah, if we're going school to school, that could be a big expense, trying to bring in recording
Yeah.
equipment to each school. And I
Uh,
would rather just say it's open to
Also,
the
guys,
public.
yeah,
I
also,
don't
guys,
think
is this
so.
now a meeting or is this an event? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
I would
Yeah,
doesn't
say
that
it's not a meeting.
it's an
It would
Yeah.
event.
need to
I
be
agree. It's an
publicly
event.
noticed.
got it?
And,
Okay.
and decisions are not being made at these meetings. So even though there might be like a quorum of members, I don't know,
But we are
it's a
saying
little
it's an
tricky, but I'm erring
meeting.
on no, but I'll
Yeah.
double check on
Yeah.
that.
Let's just make
And
sure.
and,
I
and then
just want to
also
follow the rules. That's the
and,
main.
and and then also because like of the nature of the conversation, some students may not want um certain things to be filmed, and
Exactly.
then
Yeah.
because it is an event and that they're going to be like breakouts and different things, I don't even think the logistics of like filming it all would even be possible without a significant budget. And so
Well,
yeah, let's look into that. Once again, I'll share what I have with you guys, and we can kind of go from there. I'll send that via email.
we would need, if like in the forms of the registration for the event, if there are Spanish speaking students, we would need to secure translators.
Yeah, I mean, would we be able
Translators,
to
so that
get
might be an
those the ear no, those that might be a lot too. Okay, we'll figure out which route. Because I know the translators, they have the headpieces, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, cool. All right, that sounds good.
But
Wonderful.
So this would again be separate from the town hall or one and the same now? Like, are we?
I think we're figuring that out. I thought that we needed both, but I heard this was going to be the town hall on steroids. So I want to see. I want to give Representative Best an opportunity to show us what he's got, and yeah, and maybe we'll all think, realize that this would be a better investment of the money or something like that. So I don't think we're making that decision right now. We'll come back and put this on the agenda for the next meeting. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. Anything else on this topic? And I think we also covered at the same time, topic 4, Representative Johnson Law discussed how community schools would fit in with this already as part of item 3. So unless there's anything else new, Representative Johnson Law, that you want to add, I think you discussed that item, in conjunction with this one. Was there anything else on either items 3 or 4 that any
Nope.
members want to discuss before we move on to 5?
Nope. I'm excited about this event though.
I am
I'm
too.
all in.
Okay, great.
And
Wonderful.
I'm gonna put it in the
Representative-
chat right now. I was able to find the old site that has the information on it, and then it also has a video on there for later on if you want to check it out.
Okay, can you email it to us too? Because I'm going to rush out of here right after this, and I don't want to lose it. The chat. Okay, or maybe Dr. Fleischer, if you can send us that there. Okay, I see it there. KIP DC. Got it.
Mhm.
Got copying that. All right. So next item here
Well,
is
really quickly, I'm sorry to interrupt.
no
Johnson
problem.
Law, Representative Johnson Law, will you be attending the December 9th community schools hearing with the DC Council?
I did not look at that one, but can you send it to me so I can sign up?
Yeah, I'll send it to the group.
Thank you.
Sorry, Representative Goulet.
Oh, no problem. No, you're totally good. Just moving on to the next item, we have here is a discussion of the SAC youth curfew feedback, and I'm particularly interested to hear from Representatives Chamberlain, and it doesn't seem like Representative Dinkins was able to join us, but Representative Chamberlain, do you want to give us a discussion of that? And I apologize that I wasn't at that meeting. I wanted to hear this discussion, so if you could impart that wisdom on us, we would love to hear it at this time.
We missed you very much.
Oh, good, good.
Dr. Fleischer has created an analysis of the curfew discussion. I'm not sure if he wants to share his screen or put that in the chat. Yes, okay. Perfect. It should be in there in the Dropbox. Let me know if you guys can get to it. But if not, I think he may be able to share his computer. We have had very consistent turnout, though. I will say, I'm very proud of it. All right. So we started off our meeting with a curfew discussion. We asked 3 different questions. How helpful or harmful do you think curfews are? And we asked them to elaborate. We asked them to describe any direct impacts curfews had on them, including after-school programs and sports. And when we asked if they were a researcher studying youth curfews in DC, what they would want to learn more about. So a little over half of the students felt negatively towards the curfews, and only about a quarter said they were directly impacted by them. So we didn't get as much direct impact as might have been, helpful. But there were definitely feelings expressed. So the top 3 areas that student members wanted to learn more about were the level of fairness and enforcement, particularly like the demographics of students that were getting stopped. They wanted to see the effectiveness and impact of these curfews, and they want to see the purpose of the current policy and potential alternatives to the current policy. We saw a number of comments on all of these, particularly that someone said that they thought that curfews were a Band-Aid, that we're not dealing with root causes of them, which was interesting. We saw them want to know how they will correlate with future interactions with police, because of the interactions that students have had with the law enforcement through the curfew. But overall, most kids did not express having directly been impacted by them, but did pretty overall express feeling negatively towards them.
Representative Chamberlain, thank you for sharing that. That's I think a really helpful analysis and a good starting point to the discussion. I mean, for me, I think a lot of this is stemming from the Navy Yard issues that have been reported. And I mean, the issue that I've seen, because I did some research on this, I've discussed it with a number of people. I mean, is that you'll see on social media where youth are saying, let's get together at Navy Yard, let's do, I mean, in some cases it's illicit drugs. And, and there's the widely reported incident, at the movie theater where you had kids there. I mean, I just like this is a compliment to the SAC, but I don't think it's surprising that a number of students there were not affected by the curfews, because I don't think uh, by and large, the students at SAC are the ones doing these activities, which the curfews are designed for. But I think we do need to be very thoughtful about not discouraging youth from being able to attend events. Like, let's say you go out to a high school basketball game on a Friday, you want to go to Chipotle afterwards. I'm just using this as an example. I mean, there's nothing that should ever prohibit that or make a youth scared to attend work or a school activity. So, or just to be able to go out and socialize, in a reasonable fashion. So I'd love to work with you more on this. I don't want to try to put you on the spot and have a lot of comments on this today, but I'd love to talk with you and Representative Dinkins about what you think, any next steps would be on this. I know it's not directly related to the work of the board, but it's a hot topic in the city. So does anybody else want to weigh in on this, or is there anything else you want to say, Representative Chamberlain?
I want to jump in for a second. I just want to make sure that, it's not selective enforcement. And, I've been in places where it's technically supposed to be enforced. And I've seen different demographics of people walking around or youth and not being approached. And so I just want to make sure that it's also like, if we are doing this thing, then it applies to everyone, and that we're not being selective over who gets approached and who doesn't. And so not me saying that I think that, curfew is great. Like, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that if it is being enacted, then there should not be selective enforcement.
I'm not sure how much of this I should say publicly, but I think it is selectively enforced.
It is
Um,
1,000% selectively
Yeah.
enforced. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I know I mean, I know that I can go to these meetings, they can last till 10 PM and I'll never get stopped on the way home. And that is a privilege I have that is invisibly written in the policy, and it shouldn't be. So
Yep. I agree 1,000%.
My question would be to both of you, though, on the selective enforcement. I mean, this is written to solve a very real problem, which is that there are youth who are committing crimes in large groups in the Navy Yard. I mean, not just Navy Yard, but specifically in the Navy Yard. So is your concern by the selective enforcement that we are doing it racially, or we're doing it by certain neighborhoods? Because it would make sense for them to direct resources to neighborhoods where the violations and the problem is occurring.
Right. So, for example, I live in the Navy Yard area, right?
Yeah.
And there are many times where I've been out and I've seen some youth who fit a certain demographic who are not approached versus some who are. And so what I don't want to have is the criminalization of, I'll say it, call it how it is, how I see it, Black and brown youth. And I don't want that. And I want to make sure that, that if we are saying that we have this policy, and yes, I do agree that this is a very real challenge that we're having, but we're also not just selecting certain people to address. And that is a problem. And I will always have a problem with that. And I will fight tooth and nail to ensure that that is not the case. So there's very little that anyone can tell me to make me okay with that. And so all I'm saying is, if we have policies that we're creating, that is uniformly enforced, or we get rid of it as a whole. And obviously we can't get rid of it, but we can put pressure on people to ensure that they are actively, making sure that they're holding this for everyone. We also can make sure that we could put pressure on people to say, if you're not enforcing this properly, then just don't do it at all.
I agree. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Anything else on this topic at all? Okay.
Quick question. I know another thing mentioned at the last meeting was potentially visiting schools, not just about talking with students, faculty about their safety, but if we're seeking schools with like high chronic absenteeism rates or anything like that, maybe also building in a question to students about how the curfews impact them. So we're going to them. Maybe that's a wider discussion offline of what those school visits will look like. But I know that was something that was raised at the last meeting of interest visiting schools.
I was thinking that would now be part of what Representative Best is talking about. Because I'm also trying to be realistic with our time. You know, if we're looking at 8 wards, with a significant amount of meetings and all of us having second jobs, whether they be student or professional, I don't know that we'll have, time to do both if we're doing it citywide, but
I think yeah, and I also want to say there is a strong benefit to having partners, community partners. I don't envision us doing this alone. I envision us connecting with different groups. I envision us connecting with like the Mixfoot Challenge. I envision us connecting with different schools to partner in this event, because there's no way that we can do this all by ourselves. But if we talk about building community, we got to go to the community. And I think that's how we did it the first time. So when we did it the first time, it wasn't just us. It was like TMA. It was a bunch of people. It was KIP. It was, different organizations as well, different community groups like DC Action, different groups coming together to help solve this problem. It's just us help being a conduit for it, and for us to kind of bring everybody together to get it going. And obviously there would be core people who would lead it in core areas. So if we're having something maybe in 6, I'd probably lead that, 7, then Ebony Rose Thompson, or and it doesn't have to necessarily be one per ward, but it has to be accessible to the people throughout the city, especially in areas where it matters the most, based off of the topics that we're discussing right now. And so I don't think that this should be something where we do by ourselves. I think it should be something that we do in conjunction with others who have similar goals in mind, who are trying to tackle some of these problems.
That makes sense. Okay. Anything further on that before I think we move to our final item here? And kindergarten enrollment policy discussion, second to last item. I want to defer this till the next meeting just for the sake of time, because we've had a long discussion already. I still have concerns of the existing kindergarten age policies. I think they're the most restrictive in the country, based on needs, and are forcing youth who are younger into IEPs that wouldn't otherwise need them. But I don't think we have time for this discussion if we want to attend the event. So I would, unless there's any objection, I'd like to postpone this until the next meeting. Okay.
Fine with me.
We'll come back to that then at the next meeting. And then lastly, Dr. Fleischer's posted the nurse letter in SharePoint. I need to go in and make my edits to it. I still haven't done that, and I apologize for that. But Dr. Fleischer, does everybody on the committee have access to that?
I believe so. Let me just.
And thank you for your work on that, by the way. I really am grateful for it. So what I would love to do is have this brought to the next working session, if that would be possible. So that way we can vote on whether we send it as a board to the council. So should we give people maybe a week to provide feedback on this, and then we'll agendize it for the working session? Does that make sense as the next step on the nurse letter?
Yeah, I can send that after this meeting, the SharePoint link to everyone. As well. And Jen Briones will share out a final version of the priorities for everyone to look out for that as well.
We only have till 9 a.m. on that one, so not a week on that one. The priorities.
No, yeah, the
That's
priorities.
9 a.m. tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. This one, what do people feel is a fair amount of time to look through the letter and provide changes and feedbacks? A week? Does that sound fair for everybody?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Okay. All right, great. So we'll finalize it then a week from now and then bring it to the working session where the board can vote on it then. Okay, is there any other items anybody would like to discuss as new business before we adjourn? Okay, well, hearing none, I don't want to keep us because I know I got to get on the road quickly. Thank you all for attending today. Can I get a motion to adjourn at this time, please?
So moved.
Can we get a second to it?
Second.
All right, second. All right, all in favor, say
Second.
aye.
Oh, sorry, third.
Aye.
You can still vote aye. Aye. All right, the vote is unanimous. Thank you all for attending today, and thanks for the great discussion with everybody.
All right, take care.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.
Bye, everybody.
Okay.